Every so often, a piece of media in its respected medium transcends said medium to elevate what is possible in terms of storytelling. 1998's Metal Gear Solid showed us that video games could have something to say. 2013's The Last of Us made us feel things that we didn't know would be possible of a video game. And 2022's A Plague Tale Requiem is the next evolution of its predecessors and their outstanding narrative achievements. In a world full of flawed characters who are sometimes jaded and often hopelessly optimistic, lies a story centered around Amicia and her younger brother Hugo, who has been born with an affliction only known as the macula. This duo must venture to great lengths in order to search for a cure, and what sounds to be a basic and tried and true basis for a narrative to build upon, A Plague Tale Requiem triumphantly rises above any other piece of media that has tried the magical cure method of storytelling to deliver a game that is truly special and should be talked about for years to come. A Plague Tale Requiem does a lot of things really well, and in a lot of ways, to play the original Plague Tale Innocence will only highlight how much of an improvement has really come to be of this title. My biggest complaint about the original is the fact that it was really a puzzler game that was hidden behind the clothing of an action-adventure game. Meaning, anytime you were set in a scenario, whether it was enemies or working your way through a pool of rats, there was always a set, defined way that you had to make your way through a room. And the resources to work your way through said room were always laid right in front of you, making the game really feel spoon-fed at every turn. But those days are over. Anytime you find yourself in a combat scenario, the game respects you as the player to make the best decision to get the job done. Resources still may be available in that area, however, they aren't right in front of you. It is up to you as the player to scrounge through the room stealthily, hiding from enemies, to find the equipment that you need in order to craft the weapons needed. If you don't want to use weapons, that's fine. You are free to sneak past and make other decisions like so. The weapon wheel is divided into 3 different weapons: crossbows, slingshot, and a vase. And you can load any of those weapons with any ammunition type in the game to get different results. There is no longer a correct way to deal with an enemy encounter. You make the decisions, you choose the weapons. If you want to bait these enemies into rats, go for it. If you want to set up fire traps and lure everyone into one area and burn them, go for it. If you want to use an assist move from one of your teammates to blind, attack, or distract them, your call. And this is all reinforced by implementing a dynamic skill tree that gives you new skills and abilities based on how you decide to play. This sense of agency makes you feel so more immersed in the world and make the decisions of the characters that you cannot control feel so much more weighted to the narrative, which nails home the theme of no matter what decisions are made, sometimes predetermined destiny and fate are just not avoidable. And despite the fact of this theme, you cling on to the cast of unlikely heroes, hoping for a cure to be found, hoping for a way to triumph over this predetermined destiny, regardless of the fact that both you as the player and the characters both understand that destruction and despair looms around every corner and that potential never leaves. And when that potential is tapped into, we see our characters crumble and we realize exactly how much they've been through and what it has caused them to feel, how it has affected their psyche, and watch them break down right in front of us. It's the most uncomfortable yet intriguing thing about A Plague Tale Requiem. And environmental storytelling and aesthetic does a masterclass of a job illustrating this to you. you find yourself exploring beautiful villages, vast green lands with beautiful vegetation throughout. And moments later, you find yourself in dark, wet, drab environments, void of color, void of hope. And in those moments, this is when A Plague Tale Requiem shines its brightest. And once the horde of rats that is the plague bestowed upon this world come into play, we are put into set action pieces that rival the likes of anything Naughty Dog has done and may even put them to shame. There are too many times that I got a game over and retry screen simply because I was in awe or emotionally stricken and could not respond fast enough to this game. Writing, voice acting, and Team Asobo as a whole should be extremely happy with the product that they have provided. Now, of course, no game is perfect, and A Plague Tale Requiem is not without its issue. But what is most important here is none of the issues at hand prevent this game from presenting its story and its point the way that it needs to be told. One design flaw in particular paints the picture that a particular character early on in the game can be saved. Therefore, I spent about 20 minutes replaying one section trying to save this character. But a quick Google search actually made me figure that the character could not be saved, despite the fact that there is a glitch that prevents that character's death animation from ever taking place. Outside of that minor setback, the other problem is most of the characters in this game that are enemies are recycled character models. Where it's not as bad as the original game that had you killing the same 2 to 3 guys over and over, this one is expanded to more like 10 characters that you kill over and over. So it's not as bad, but it is there. And then of course, with any type of game that has stealth mechanics, the AI here is a little silly. I'm not gonna say that it's silly enough where you can just blatantly exploit these characters, but it can at times get a little goofy. But again, none of these actual issues detract from the mission of this game. And especially considering they've made the artistic decision to dress most of the enemies in some type of helmet or mask, most of the times, unless you really want to nitpick at it, it's really easy to overlook it. A Plague Tale Requiem is a game that is full of emotional peaks and valleys, whether it's a sweet, loving moment of levity or a deep, dark, depressing moment when things just don't go the way of you or the characters in the game. I was completely tuned in and always anxious to lean into each of the 17 chapters to figure out what exactly happened next to our brother-sister duo. And by credits roll, I was emotionally overwhelmed in a way that no game, or in fact, no other piece of media has ever hit me before. My only regret in this 15 to 20 hour epic is the fact that I will never be able to play it for a first time again. With that being stated, I am proud to present the very first 10 out of 10 title, A Plague Tale Requiem. And again, by no means does a 10 out of 10 mean that this is a perfect game. It is simply a masterpiece, meaning it has pushed the envelope for games, for the genre of games, and has set every goal determined to be set in the medium. With that being stated, thanks again, guys, for watching another review here on Blerd Lines Podcast. It is me again, Greg from DadPad Gaming. Now, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you feel we're worth it. And of course, if you have any thoughts, opinions, questions, concerns, definitely leave a comment and I will do my best to answer any questions possible. Thanks again, guys, and have a wonderful day.